Does the narcissist really not want you? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Possibly one of the most confusing aspects of an involvement with a narcissist is the mixed messages that you receive, the contradictory signals that have you very much confused as to what's actually going on. Well, he said this, but then he did that, so I'm not sure what to believe. He told me that he hates me, and then he buys me a really expensive gift. So that suggests to me that he still cares about me and loves me, that if he's willing to spend that money on me, despite saying that he hates me. But I don't know where I stand. It can often be the case that the narcissist will say to you, I don't want anything to do with you. It's over. The relationship's dead. Don't darken my doorstep again. And then, the very next morning or a few days later, the narcissist is getting in contact with you. But why are they doing that when they told you that the relationship was over? Do they feel bad about what they've done, and that's why they're contacting you? They're checking that you're okay? Is it the case that they've had second thoughts about what they've said and they actually do want to be with you in a relationship? These contradictory behaviours and lack of consistency result in many victims failing to understand what is actually going on and what it is that they're dealing with. Most individuals who are not narcissists behave in a consistent fashion. So, for example, you are friends with somebody. That means that you will see them fairly often, for instance. They're a friend that lives near you, so you may catch up with them once a week, pop down the pub, go out for a meal. Sometimes you might not see them for a couple of weeks, but you see them with regularity, and that has gone on for years. You remember one another's birthdays. You buy each other a present and send each other a card. And you've consistently done so for years. With regard to your work, you know that your boss can be a bit grumpy, but he's consistently so as a consequence of the pressure that he's under. There's an external stressor that has that impact upon him. But you know what to expect, that he does value your work, but there's a little bit of grumpiness around the edges. There's consistency of approach. You are consistent in your behaviours towards other people. You show accountability for your behaviours. You show commitment to the relationships. You nourish those relationships by maintaining them. You're consistent in your dealings with people. You rarely fall out, if at all, with anybody. Indeed, the only people you seem to fall out with, of course, would be the narcissists. And thus, because you have this constancy, this object constancy in the way that you deal with people, you, not unfairly, anticipate and expect that everybody else will behave in the same way. And largely, they do. Until, that is, you meet our kind. And the problem is that the only constants that we have are the pursuit of the prime aims, and everything else, to a greater or lesser extent, is in play, up for grabs, can fluctuate and deviate and oscillate so long as those prime aims are obtained. So, for instance, so long as control is obtained over you, a narcissist will treat you really well, treat you really nastily. Alternating between the two in the course of the day, it isn't the constancy of treating you well or treating you badly, it's the constancy of getting control over you. And treating you badly one moment and treating you nicely the next is just a means to getting that control. The control is what must be constant. The fuel is what must be constant, the character traits and the residual benefits. Many people are confused by the fact that when the relationship first started, it was wonderful, it was amazing, it was fun. You were totally into one another. You'd never experienced anything like it. This person treated you like a king or a queen. You had the most wonderful of times together. You made plans for the future. You talked about marriage and children. And then it all went wrong. They became distant. They didn't answer the phone. They didn't seem as interested in spending time with you. They talked about other people and caused you to wonder whether they were actually seeing somebody else. They criticised things that they once were praising you about, and it didn't make sense. How could it go wrong? What had changed? You haven't changed. What has changed in the relationship? And of course, what you don't realise is that you're being devalued. And what happened before was idealisation. And that was an illusion, but you didn't realise it. You thought that was an actual reality. Of course, you didn't imagine it. It happened. But you believed that there was a consistency. Of course, you would expect that what you saw as like the honeymoon period would die down a little, but you didn't think that it would turn into a barren, howling wilderness, which is where it has got to. No, you still expected that this person would treat you well, that they wouldn't insult you, that you'd still have fun together, that you'd still have sex, that they wouldn't withdraw from you. But that is what happens, and it leaves you wondering, why? What on earth is going on? And so when a narcissist says, I don't want anything more to do with you, but then contacts you days later, you're left confused. Is it the case that they really don't want me? Then if that is the case, why are they contacting me? The fact is, it comes down to the compartmentalization of the narcissist. That in this moment, now, the narcissist needed to deal with you by hurting you, by punishing you, by telling you the relationship was over. Thus, they used words to that effect, told you not to darken their doorstep again, said some unpleasant things about you, maybe even said why they didn't want to be with you, giving a host of reasons which you probably didn't recognise. And they cast you to one side. You're upset, naturally, and you think, well, I need to understand more. So you ring the narcissist who doesn't answer you, then you find yourself being blocked. But then 3 days later, the narcissist contacts you. How are you doing? Oh, he still does care about me. And of course, it may make it even more confusing for you because the narcissist may well confirm that. You respond, why are you contacting me? I still do care about you. The narcissist doesn't. What it is, you're in another moment, a separate moment, which is completely unrelated to when the narcissist said he didn't want to be with you any longer, save to the extent that the narcissism deems that they are to be linked together. Thus, in that new moment, compartmentalized from the other moment, the narcissist has had you come up on the radar. The narcissism has asked, is this person under control? There's no information, therefore it's assumed that you're not. The first law of narcissism must be obeyed. Therefore, the narcissist must get you under control. The narcissism deems that the direct approach, the first assertion of control, is valid. You are to be hoovered. Therefore, you get a text message or a telephone call asking after you. You, not understanding what you're dealing with, think that this is a representation of somebody caring. It isn't. The appearance of caring is just being used to get round your defences to assert control over you. It's contradictory to what they've told you before. But not in the world of the narcissist, it's not. You see, once a narcissist ensnares you, you belong to the narcissist until such time as either they die or you die. That means we can end the relationship and come back a day later, a month later, a year later, because you belong to us. We can get rid of you and then start up with you. Get rid of you, start up with you again. It isn't the case that the narcissist really wants rid of you, except when at that particular moment it serves the purposes to tell you that the narcissist truly believes they no longer want you. But it is, as with everything else associated with the narcissist, subjected to the narcissist conditional asterisk. Watch the video of that name, whereby the narcissist in that moment is compelled to assert control over you by telling you that the relationship is over, and therefore is made to feel that he no longer loves you, and to think that it is the end, and thus that compels him to say that to you to get that control and fuel. However, it comes with that condition. I may say all of this now, but I can reverse it in a moment if I so wish, except the narcissist isn't actually thinking in such terms. The narcissism is. And thus, At that moment, although a narcissist may talk in such terms which sound so final and so absolute, it actually is always conditional. And that despite the narcissist saying, I never want to see you again, it's over, stay away from me, do not darken my doorstep ever again, in a matter of hours or days or weeks, that narcissist is perfectly entitled to return to you again because of the compartmentalization, the sense of entitlement, and the necessity of maintaining that ownership of you. The narcissist doesn't really want you. What the narcissist really requires is control over you, the receipt of your fuel, the acquisition of your character traits, and the wholesale theft of your residual benefits. You, as a person, don't matter to the narcissist. What you provide is important. And because of that provision, you are a silo, a tin of beans, a toaster, an object and appliance which the narcissist can come back to time and time again. Because whilst the narcissist doesn't actually want you, the narcissist does need what you provide. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.